Well, hello and welcome all you wonderful people out there in YouTube land to the first in-scale locomotive quarterly product review. Now what we have here before us is an Atlas GP35 lettered for the mighty Southern Pacific. Now if you've been watching the channel for a while, then you already know that I'm a huge fan of Southern Pacific. So if I'm going to start buying in-scale locomotives and in-scale trains to review on this channel, I'm definitely going to throw some SP in the mix. So the first thing that I notice on this model is that the lettering is very well done. There's no bleed over. There's very clean separation between the red and the gray. You don't see any bleed over here on the end of the long hood of the locomotive, and you can see very clean separation between the red stripes and the gray on the wraparound of the bloody nose. The white 6522 here on the cab is centered in the appropriate spot and in the appropriate font. It's a little bit transparent for my taste, but it does the job. You can clearly tell what the locomotive's number is. The cab features window glazing in all windows. The Southern Pacific here on the long hood is also nicely done, centered and in the correct position with the correct font. This is more of a 1960s to 1980s paint scheme for Southern Pacific. They didn't start incorporating the famous speed lettering until the very early 90s. In fact, that was actually SP's last paint scheme alteration prior to being gobbled up by, them people from Omaha. Anyway, you've got some cast-on grill detailing here and here. That's very nicely done. And some cast-on grill detailing here on the underside of the dynamic brake blister. The handrails on the locomotive are plastic. They're rather flexible, they're rather forgiving. They're not going to tolerate just being crimped down on, but normal, gentle handling, taking this thing in and out of the box or moving it from one track to another or what have you. They'll hold up if you're careful and you're mindful of it. The doors along the side of the long hood on both sides have the correct latching and hinge detailing, all cast onto the body of the locomotive, of course. You have the main reservoir detail here for the air brakes. You have a fuel filling nozzle here. You have a sight glass. And I'm not sure what that is, but I'm assuming that is supposed to be the emergency fuel shutoff. The battery boxes here along the underside of the cab on the engineer's side do have the correct latch and hinge detailing. And the trucks, which you can see here, are actually fairly well detailed. You have the leaf springs, you have the brake shoes on either side of the wheels, you have a journal bearing there. You have the air brake cylinders, two per side frame per truck. And this is about what you would expect from an Atlas model. I want to say this is an early to mid 2000s, pre-2010 model from Atlas. But it's in great shape. It does have onboard DCC. Unfortunately, I don't have at the time I was filming this, I wasn't able to get in contact with anyone that has a DCC in-scale layout, so it'll be running on a conventional in-scale layout here at the TexLa Model Railroad Club for the run portion of this review. Looking at the front of this locomotive, you'll see the little crossover plate there is molded on to the hand railing detail. Unfortunately, There is no prototypically correct contrasting paint on the hand railings to designate the end of the hand railings. You do have the road number here and here on the number boards. The number boards are illuminated. This is the headlight. You have some cast-on classification lights here, cast-on grab irons here and here on the nose, and you have a little storage, these little storage compartments here at the base of the nose. Those are cast on with the appropriate latch and hinge detailing as well. There's not really any effort to include the MU hoses. You do have the MU cable plug right here, but there's no MU hoses or train line hose molded onto the pilot of the locomotive, and of course there's no snowplow, which SP diesels all had snowplows, at least on one end. You've got the requisite Atlas Accumate garbage here, coupler here, and you have a prototypically correct Nathan P3 3-chime air horn on the front of the cab. Alright, looking at the rear of this locomotive, you see some blanked out number boards here and here just underneath the headlight, which is prototypically correct. You have the road number directly below the headlight, centered on the seam of the locomotive nose, well, seam of the long hood. You have these cast on grab irons all the way up, which are prototypically correct. And you also have those same little storage compartments here and here at the base of the long hood. And of course you see more of the same with the one-piece plastic hand railing and safety chain, the crossover plate molded onto the hand railing assembly, and the MU cable plug here, and no real attempt at including any of the MU hose detailing, and of course the Accumate coupler. So even though you can see the top side of this locomotive for the majority of this product review, I'm going to go ahead and just show a clean shot of the overhead of the locomotive. You have the air horn here, you have the exhaust stack here, you have a little vent detail here, and you have the fans correctly arranged for a GP35. This is the cooling fan for the dynamic brakes. These are the cooling fans for the actual diesel engine.